we do.
Okay, let's say that was approval of April 7th. Now we need approval of April 12th minutes.
So moved.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. New business. You want to introduce Crossland?
Sure. We have first on the agenda the discussion of the external audit plan for fiscal year 2022. Our external auditors, Crossland, will present their plan to us.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not going to stand up because I don't want to stand in front of you. But as you can, I'll be pretty brief, but please ask questions. You can dig down
Is this not a calendar?
anything you want. It looks like a calendar, isn't it? January.
I thought we were going to get something out of it.
Vice Mayor's January. Sorry. You can see what I'm going to go through on the agenda. The team members' responsibilities, things like independence and fraud. I'm going to go through real quick our audit methodology, touch on the single audit, and go through the timeline and a few other things. On page 2 is our engagement team members. This is identical to the prior year with the exception of one name down on the bottom right. Dan Warren is the tax partner for exempt organizations if we need him. I don't think we will, but other than that, everything is the same. So continuity is good from year to year. On page 3 is responsibilities. So I just want to briefly go through so everybody knows what our responsibilities, the auditors, are and what the responsibilities of management is. In summary, I'm going to read the first one, but expressing opinions about whether the financial statements prepared by management under the oversight of this audit committee are fairly presented in all material respects in conformity with U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. So that's the purpose. That's why we were hired by the audit board. And if I could say in one sentence what the purpose of hiring us is, that's it. The second one, performing those audits in compliance with government auditing standards and uniform guidance. Uniform guidance is touching on the single audit. 3, maintaining independence, in fact, and appearance. And 4, reporting to this audit committee any instances of non-compliance in the single audit, fraud, significant deficiencies in internal controls, and so forth. So management, their responsibility is to fairly present financial statements in accordance with GAAP, adopt the proper accounting policies. Now, we'll look at those accounting policies in your footnotes to see that they're reasonable and they're compliance with GAAP, but it's management's responsibility to come up with those accounting policies. Establishing, maintaining effective internal controls over financial reporting and compliance, preventing and detecting fraud, and disclosing this audit committee and us any detection of fraud or control deficiencies. On the next page, page 4, addresses independence. The CPA's Code of Professional Conduct and as well as government auditing standards both have regulations on independent standards. As I said before, we need to be independent, in fact, in appearance, and we believe we are with respect to Metro Nashville. On page 5, fraud risk. SAS 99 is what is kind of our rule book on what to do as auditors for fraud. We kind of take it as a 4-pronged strategy, gather information. So we're brainstorming with our internal staff, we're brainstorming with the finance department and people outside of the finance department all over Metro government. We're investigating anything unusual or unexpected things. So we're looking for things that, for instance, what's going to happen in 2022 that's out of the ordinary. And those are the areas that will eventually become audit risk, but also could be fraud risk. We're looking for tests for management overrides, significant estimates, unusual transactions, again, manual journal entries. So we're going to test odd-looking entries or material manual adjusting entries, which would be odd. Respond to identified risks. So we're going to respond. If we find anything, we're going to report it to you guys, this audit committee. Evaluate audit evidence. Of course, we're going to audit anything suspected or anything that has high risk of fraud. We're going to audit and disseminate any results that we have to the committee. On 6 and 7 is our audit methodology. We have it in graph form if you prefer that. Or on page 6, the four main categories are your planning and risk assessment, your control evaluation and testing, substantive testing, completion, and reporting. Moving on to page 7. So your audit planning and risk assessment, I mean, that's how we decide what we're going to test. We're going to evaluate, we're going to evaluate internal controls. We're going to see how strong they are. We're going to see if we can rely on those internal controls. And if we can, we're going to test controls. If we don't feel like we can, or it makes more sense, cost benefit of substantive testing, and there's plenty of substantive testing we're going to do that. Control evaluation and testing, it's kind of a combination. So we're going to test controls in many instances, and we're going to do substantive testing as well. On the bottom of page 7, well, risk of material misstatement, we are now required to identify what those are, and preliminarily, and these are really high risk anywhere, most places, management override of controls and improper revenue recognition. With the amount of revenue at Metro government, just the materiality itself makes it a high-risk area. There might be more high-risk areas as we complete our planning process that we come up with, but those are the two that are pretty You can see down at the bottom of page 7, different areas that we're going to test controls, or the areas that we're going to substantively test. You know, sometimes it just makes sense to be able to confirm investments with a third party. I mean, that's the best audit evidence you can do, so we're going to do that when we can do that. Page 8 addresses the single audit. Metro Nashville does qualify as a low-risk auditee, which is a good thing. Instead of having 40% coverage of your federal expenditures during the year, we just have to get to 20%. We've put down the expected major programs we think we're going to have to test. There's 6 of them here, and these are the expected high-risk Type A programs. There might be additional ones. You know, we wouldn't have expected a complete CFA, statement of financial expenses yet. When we have that, there might be more that pop up. There might be some high-risk Type B that we have to audit, but right now, those are the major programs we're looking at. Page 9 points out significant activities and any issues that may come with that. Really, the first 3 are reoccurring things for Metro Nashville that you're always going to have. The last one, the state comptroller's issue, that's really not an issue anymore. The last couple of years, there was some flare-up with that, with the state comptroller, but there's really not anything that I'm seeing right now. Page 10, prior year issues and recommendations. Last year, we did not have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in your financial reporting, and no compliance findings in your single audit. Page 11 and 12 spell out your new statements. There are 4 or 5 of them that are applicable to 2022. I won't get into the depths of these new GASB statements unless you really want me to. I'd be happy to, but I will tell you, none of them, from a preliminary standpoint, none of them really, none of them are going to have a material impact on the Act for this year. The one you might be hearing a lot about is leases. It's been coming for, seems like 2 decades. But the primary government, I don't perceive to be material. We're going to look at the component units to see if there's anything, but we're going to be guiding the component units and primary government through that if need be. Page 13 is our timeline. And we're really hoping to get that uniform guidance done by the end of the year. I feel really good about management with the Act for Audit as well. I would say that we are, no fault necessarily to anybody in the past, but I think we're well ahead of where we were last year. So I really do think that end of December is attainable this year, which would be great for all. And the Act for might be even maybe a month earlier. I'm not promising anything.
What's the breaks in the line?
the breaks in the line. So those are just the different you mean these lines right here? So Nashville Public Schools, we have some planning that we're going to do, and we'll probably request a whole lot of information during that time period. So we need to give them a couple weeks to accumulate all that information, and then we'll come back to test that.
Basically like some interim work, and then we'll go back and do year-end work.
Okay.
Same with the hospital. Really, we're doing interim work on all these, but Metro Nashville, the primary government, while they're pulling other things we can be testing, there's so much, we never really have a block, a break. Page 14 is the deliverables, when we expect to, our anticipated completion of the different deliverables. And page 15 is our contacts. The only thing that changed was Katie got promoted to senior manager, a manager. I would be happy to drill down and get in the guts of any of this.
Year end is just 2 days away. It seems like you knock it out.
Yeah.
Around the 4th.
We're well on our way.
Monday or Tuesday.
If he can finish it by the first week of July, we'll knock it out by the 2nd.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Next up, we have the investigation of the trustee's office cash shortage. Back in the middle of February, Trustee Gilmore notified our office that the night before there had been a $900 cash shortage in one of the staff's tills. They had done some preliminary work to see if they could figure out what happened with the cash, but they could not determine it, so they asked if our office would investigate it. We immediately sent out our investigator, Laura Henry, who started doing work out there and interviews and asking around, walkthroughs. And about 2 weeks into the process, another cash shortage occurred of approximately about $1,000. So that was included as an emerging allegation within the work that was already being done. We pulled all of the surveillance camera tape, which was multiple cameras. Laura Henry, as well as Elizabeth Andrews within our office, spent hours watching that surveillance video. They performed interviews of the staff that were involved. They did walkthroughs of the process itself. They did observations. They looked at the system that was being used. Did reconciliations of the cash that was collected on the 2 days that the shortages occurred. And ultimately, we could not determine what happened with the cash. Unfortunately, though there were some controls in place, there was a lack of controls that made it so that we could determine if it was a person, if it was the system, or something else. So what we ended up doing was we came up with 8 recommendations for the trustee's office so that in the future, those controls that we would recommend would help to protect the staff and also Metro. It would help to pinpoint one person that may be involved instead of what we ran into was certain camera angles. The cash could disappear out of the camera angle. So we couldn't account for the cash when it was being moved from one place to the other. There were situations where they're a very busy office. They're taking in large sums of money. If somebody needs to go to lunch, somebody else would take over the till. The till would not be counted before somebody left, so you don't know if the cash was missing before or after. Additionally, that person who came to take over during lunch would use the same login information, so the computer system is still continuing to attribute those collections to the same staff person that was originally there. So we made these recommendations, such as getting more security cameras, or at least widening where they can be seen, having 2 people count cash. They use a cash counting machine on every transaction, but that machine doesn't give you a readout of necessarily how much it is. Looking into that, or having it double count it to make sure that there weren't any issues with the cash counting machine, where it could have necessarily miscounted. Having 2 people count it, even if it's a large sum, like some of the day that was under investigation, there was $40,000 cash payment made. So having multiple people count that cash. All 8 of our recommendations were fully embraced by the trustee's office. They've actually implemented almost all of them. And so unfortunately, though we could not confirm what happened with the cash, they've made steps to actually improve this process so that it doesn't happen. with us today, we have Trustee Gilmore from the trustee's office, as well as Eugene Hampton from the trustee's office, and Mitzi Cripps from the trustee's office, and Laura Henry, who did the investigation. Are there any questions?
Any problems with implementing the recommendations?
Not at all. And so I want to thank you for your time. And some of them, I think it was just an opportunity to get to them. Because we had actually put in so when I first came into office, we noticed that there needed to be more cameras. So that was one of the things that we implemented right then. And then as I was in office, later on in that year, we realized we needed more, but we had to wait until the budget cycle. But we had actually already put them in place for the budget cycle, and so now with the 2023 they will be there. And another thing we implemented as well was the safe. We actually had asked for a safe where you count the money, you put it inside the safe, and the safe gets your receipt. So it's just a matter of the new cycle coming, but those things have been put in place. So we thank you so much for your time.
Is it possible that it could have been a typo, like a 6 instead of a 9 may have been keyed in on the computer or the machine that's utilized?
It is, and so I'm glad you asked that question. That's another thing we have with eGov, and so I'll let either Mr. Hampton the possibility of when we talked about the transactions when you put them at the top.
So,
This is Mr. Hampton. He's the Director of Finance and the Office Manager. Yes.
hello, thank you for allowing me to speak. So, yes, ma'am, the current system allows us to, when we get a check, we have to enter in the amount, it scans it, we have to enter in the amount, and then a second time we enter, before we close out the receipt, the amount that we see on the check. So we enter those twice. Whereas cash, we enter in the system once. So we've asked our software provider during our upcoming upgrade to add that feature so that cash, we can enter it in twice to ensure that we're also duplicating what we saw. So if there is a 6 versus a 9, an error will show up, and then we can stop and look to see what happened.
So thank you for that question.
These totals, these are 41 and 86, those are cash totals.
Yes.
And I take it that's not a normal day. It's probably coming in at
During the peak.
close to the deadline. Or do you collect that much every day?
No, so this is during our tax season. So for that particular day, on February the 14th, we collected $86,949.07 in cash. But the total collections for that day was $32,146,207.
Yeah, and February 28th is the
Yes, and that's the last day. And so that particular day, the total collections was $61 million.
because these numbers seem to be pretty high for cash, but
And it was
but it was
$364,000
it's for
cash.
so again, that's not every day you're open.
Not every day. It was during our peak season.
Peak season, I got you.
And lots of activity, and sometimes when people bring in large amounts of
You
cash,
say you collected 32 million that day?
61 million on the 28th, and 32 million on the 14th. Yeah. Yeah. We have a really good staff.
I'll take that.
In the words of Councilmember Steve Glover, we had a 34% tax increase.
Well, that is true. Any other questions?
And I'll also mention, they did report this to the comptroller's office immediately as well.
Thank you.
Well, I want to commend Trustee Gilmore for immediately addressing it and moving forward in a proper way, alerting everybody that would have any direct or indirect association with it, and just applaud her for her efforts. And, it's hard to do those kinds of things, especially when you have staff that you trust and working with them, those that you love, and you have to question them. And although you're not questioning them, they feel as though you are. But still, you stepped up and did what was necessary, and I wanted to commend you for that.
Well, thank you so
You
much.
and your entire staff.
Well, yeah, internal controls keep the feelings out of it.
Yeah.
Out of it. So, That's the good thing about internal controls. Keep it simple.
Inputting that data twice is important, because it allows you to get, that's a control in itself, that allows you to catch, so.
I wish everyone
Now have a
realized that it's
mechanism for
internal
cash to be checked
controls.
twice. That's,
Yes,
But they,
definitely an improvement in the control.
definitely. Yes, we take it seriously. We want you to know that. We appreciate everything you do.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for your time. Thank you. We appreciate Lauren and her staff as well.
Don't they have to stay?
Painless
If they
possible.
came to the meeting, don't they have to stay for the whole meeting?
See, Vice Mayor, I just want to tell you, I
See
thank
your
you so
change.
much and congratulations you on that budget. I don't know about that now.
All right, I guess
Thank you
you
so
can go.
much. Thank you, Chip. I appreciate you. Trying to get you.
Oh, that's right. We need to ask grassroots about the impact of your budget or not. I don't know.
That'll be another meeting. Okay.
Next item.
All right, so Elizabeth Andrews, an auditor in our office, recently went out to the Department of Emergency Communications to do a follow-up audit on, the original report was issued in March of 2021. That audit resulted in 2 recommendations. One was a medium risk, the other was a low risk. So the first medium risk was just to evaluate staffing needs to make sure that they were meeting their service delivery goal for call answering time. That standard wasn't being met. The first thing we did, we considered it as implemented. The audit period, they moved to a new standard, and we found that they were, they met that standard for the follow-up audit period. And so that new standard they switched to was to answer within 15 seconds, 90% of the time, 20 seconds, 95% of the time, and they were at 8.65 seconds for the audit period. So that was implemented. The low risk recommendation had to do with quality assurance reviews for fire calls. We just found that the compliance rate, the first audit noted that the compliance rate for fire calls was just much lower than the scores for police dispatching and medical calls. We consider that one partially implemented, and we'll go back out to check the implementation status for that in October. They switched to a new guide cards from the Association of Public Safety, but they've only started the implementation has only been for medical calls, so they plan on starting those guide cards for fire calls by October, and once they do that, we'll follow up with them and see if those scores have improved for the quality assurance reviews. So. And we have Stephen Martini here, the Director of Emergency Communications, if you have any questions for us.
Questions, comments?
Director, just a quick question on the standard of answering calls within 15 seconds. Is that just the regular number calling, or is that 911?
911 only.
That's 911. Okay. So that's the standard answer calls within 15 seconds, 90% of the time, within 20 seconds, 95% of the time.
Correct.
All right. But your overall average was 8.65 seconds.
Correct.
Okay.
well, I don't have any questions because I spent quite a bit of time with Dr. Martini and his staff last year, and I have found that it is almost next to impossible to do the jobs that those people do each and every day, and especially knowing that they were not compensated at a reasonable level, and their pensions and other benefits that went along with it were woefully below average. And some adjustments have been made, and I'm happy about that. I think that Dr. Martinez is doing an outstanding job with the team, and I just cannot say enough about you all.
Thank you.
And the work that you all consistently do. And it just boggles me because one example is that the day that we found out about the bombing on Christmas Day, while we were looking at that one bomb, but they had 25 threats that day, and we only knew about one. But under that type of duress, are they operating each and every day, all day long? So my hats off to you.
Thank you. Well, with your support, I'll tell you, we're at a 7% vacancy currently, and our neighbors around the state are at 30%, and they're mind blown about how we're doing that. And I can tell you it's through your support, so thank you very much, you and the council.
They're one of the most, I think, underappreciated groups in the city. It's, whenever I go over there, and I don't go over there enough, but it's amazing what is happening over there, so thank you.
Thank you.
Understand.
Except for the people that call.
Yeah.
We're here to help.
And it may only be once, but
Sure.
But it's
thank you.
What was it that they used to say? So I always worried, particularly with individuals, because you could get on a very difficult call and you deal with that, and then you hang up, and then you're on to the next call, and you don't have a lot of chance to. So it's one of those things where, again, very much appreciate what you all do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Next, we have the audit of Metro Water Services collections process. About a year and a half ago, we did a billing audit of Metro Water Services, and we didn't look at the collections piece of it because at that point in time, so much was happening with the processes around collections because of the pandemic that doing an audit of that area just would not have been accurate of the actual state that it normally is in. So we waited a little while to do this collections audit. And we went out and looked at all of the collections that they had between November of 2019 and October of 2021. And what we found was generally they have controls over a majority of their collections. They have a lot of processes in place to ensure that the correct amount that's received is applied to the correct bill, and that the assets, when they're collected, they are secured. We did have 2 observations that resulted in 2 low-risk recommendations. The first one was around safeguarding of assets. There are 2 smaller areas where checks are received every once in a while, and they just weren't necessarily secured the way we would want them to be. Sometimes left on a desk or left in an unlocked drawer. So we made the recommendation that they implement stronger controls around that. And the second one being that they were not necessarily meeting Metro's policy for depositing and recording, where deposits should be made within 1 business day and recording should be happening within 2 business days of that deposit. We will note that most of the errors with this occurred during pandemic times where there was state of emergency, processes were still being transitioned. We didn't see them more recently, but just to put it in the report to make note that we did see it. Both of these recommendations were accepted by Metro Water Services and have actually already been implemented. Some of them had pretty much already been implemented during the audit almost because they had started working through some of them. With us today, we have Amanda Deaton-Moyer from Metro Water Services and Laura Henry, who did the audit. Are there any questions?
So I guess with the cash, there was no monies that came up.
No. In one instance, it was just that individuals had mentioned during an interview that sometimes they just leave cash on, or they leave their checks on the desk. And so we never observed it necessarily, but it was something that was told to us. And then the other one, stuff was in the drawer. They'd all made it to the bank, but at the same time, it just was unsecured.
Okay. Thank you. Having water right now is very much appreciated. Okay. We're back with Rosalind.
These are the 2 reports that they presented at the April meeting, the management letter and the single audit. The items were presented at the last meeting, but in order to give the committee time to digest the information and see if there were any additional questions, it was moved to acceptance to this meeting. There was one question that Councilmember Hurt asked at the last meeting that Janine Kaufman has a response to. If you can remind us of the question, that would be helpful as well.
Hello, everybody. Councilmember Hurt had asked about the interest on the CARES Act fund, and so we have done a little research and have the answer today, which is in the CARES Act fund, there was about $63,000 worth of interest that was earned in that account, and that was offset by about $51,000 of management and investment fees for a net of around $12,000. I spoke with Mary Jo Wiggins, who most of you know, who kind of helps oversees the CARES Act funding, and that money will be spent on eligible expenses per the CARES Act. So that's how that will be handled.
Can you define eligible expenses?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, because it could be police, which is eligible, or fire, or it could be for housing, and it could be for small business. I'm just wondering how it's going to be, and we've given the police millions upon millions of money through CARES and ARPA, and I'm just wondering if we're going to make sure that the CARES Act and ARPA funding goes to those communities from which it was created.
100%, Councilman.
We test that as well in our compliance testing, because CARES Act money is considered high risk under the compliance supplement, so we have to select that as a major program, and did select it last year as a major program, and test compliance to make sure that all the expenditures are within the eligibility and acceptance requirements and are proper type of expenditures under those grants. So that's part of our testing as the external auditors as well.
So, just for an example, and I said I was going to leave it alone, but we know that monies were distributed by Pathway Lending. Pathway Lending receives an administrative fee. So, to me, that is a skewed amount of money that goes to an already very capable, capacity-filled, for-profit organization that does business as a nonprofit. And then they distribute funding out to others. And the funding that they distributed out was less than what the CEO of that organization makes annually. So while it may be eligible and it may be legal, it is still not serving the purpose completely and equitably for the funds in which they had been created.
Councilmember Hurt, Mary Jo is really the expert on where the CARES Act money was spent and handles the reporting quarterly through the Treasury, as well as a lot of the reporting and compliance that was tested. So to that particular question, I don't really have a comment. I would really have to defer to Mary Jo, but I am happy to have Mary Jo reach out to you and address any concerns that you have. I know that our auditors tested and for our reporting purposes and what they submit to the Treasury, it was in compliance with the eligible expenses. But to that particular question, Mary Jo,
The decision on how the money is spent,
yes.
We have no bearing on that. As long as it's spent within the parameters of the grant itself, that's all we're testing for. The wisdom of where it goes to that's a decision made by management.
Right, and I understand that, and trust me, I've shared this with Mary Jo as well as the committee who is assisting with determining how the money is distributed. But just wanted it to be stated. I appreciate so much your reminding us and coming back with a response to the question.
Great. Well, thank you for asking the question. So anytime, we're always happy to get you the answers that we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I believe we need to have a motion to approve.
To accept.
To accept, yes. Not to approve, to accept the, what was the formal?
The report of the
discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we accept. Letter of recommendation to management, same thing. We need to refresh what that said, or we gave it out, I guess, in April.
Yes, we gave that out in April. It was a letter of recommendations that they presented at the last meeting. I don't believe that there were any comments or questions that were received related to that.
So moved that we accept it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Well, I guess since we last met in April, where the committee made a recommendation for Metropolitan Auditor, the council, your leadership, unanimously approved, I think, Warren Riley as our Metropolitan Auditor, so congratulations. Congratulations. So that's the heavy lifting. Now, we have the task of adjusting compensation for the next fiscal year. And last year, the Director of Finance, Crumbo, kind of led us through this, I believe. And you also had a methodology kind of based upon, and this is strictly the merit, it's not it's my understanding the cost of living is across the board.
So if you look at the employment letter, the base employment letter that I signed 2 years ago is in the workbook. And then a handout has the recommended changes to it in red. Obviously, dates will be updated, salary we can discuss in a second. There are 2 items on there. Initially, my employment letter did not include that I automatically am eligible for cost of living increases. So every year we had to come back and you had to approve, and in this case it will be as well since that doesn't start until next year. The Director of HR has recommended that we include that I am eligible for the cost of living increase.
This is for discussion.
Yes.
Everybody sees the red line? I thought this was mine.
Sorry.
I didn't.
Nope, sorry. Everybody has that one.
Any thoughts on adding 12 and 13?
Somebody's got our hand up.
Yeah.
So for the salary, would we put current salary plus the 4.5 COLA plus the merit increase and put that in the letter as her salary? Is that right?
Yes, that would be what would go in this letter. If you add 13 and 14, then going forward, like next year, if there's COLA, it's automatically going to be applied.
Yeah, I think what Lauren is saying is that I guess and again, Metro cost of living, that's across the board, and it's just not designated
that she gets it.
she get it.
It's not automatically in there.
That
Because
she
it
be
wasn't in
treated
the
as an
original.
employee, which you seem like you would be, but maybe.
It's not?
No, because this position is very unique in itself.
It's changing that concept that the Metro Auditor
Yes.
is treated as an employee for across the board cost of living increase.
Yes, many directors and
Or we'd have to come
department
back and
heads
approve it each
don't
year.
have it automatic. But what's the reason I reached out to the Director of HR and she recommended this is most department heads have it in their employment letter, which if you add it to the employment letter, then yes, it's automatically in there every year. It doesn't have to come up for discussion every year. We just didn't put it in there 2 years ago. So right now, I'm not eligible for it.
And who decides what level of merit increase you get?
I think that would be the
And will we do
that would be the
every
next
year?
step we'll go through in just a second. So any comments, or do I have a motion to change the employment letter to include these 2 line items?
Only one comment. Have we, every year, have we come back and taken care of this?
No, so this is signed once at the beginning of the term.
I'm talking about, have you been eligible for updates, and have we taken care of
Yes,
that?
every year I've come and y'all have approved adding the cost of living.
Then, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we just add in the language that's recommended in the red line draft of its new sections 12 and 13.
The categories.
Yeah, in the letter. I'll hold on the first one until we get that right, but 12 and 13 would be, I would move that we add that to the letter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, that structure is approved. Now we get into, which covers, that means that the cost of living is taken care of,
Yeah,
correct?
well, so that means going forward.
Going forward.
This year, we have to put it into the salary if y'all
Okay,
decide.
and all these handouts, everybody has the handouts?
Yes, everybody has the handouts.
Okay, we can take them separate, but I guess the first would be, well, let me just, is there any, okay, and last year, again, because we don't have anybody on staff here, the Director of Finance, Kevin, kind of took this on him to say, how would Lauren be treated consistently in his departments? It's kind of like how Metro would treat Lauren's position. And then you, I believe, you did an internal deal about married, there was a pool.
There was an average. We took the average of everybody's increases. I don't have it in there. This year it's 3%, pretty much if you average it out. We have a pool, yes. We have a pool where some people get higher than possibly 3%. Some people get lower than 3% because the pool is 3% of all of our salaries.
And that's the adjustment that you're talking about that was.
That's the merit increase.
And we took, and that was the adjustment we did for you, was the average of your group.
Yes.
Which this year would be 3%.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we make sure that we take care of the 4.5% cost of living adjustment in Israeli's current salary, and that we do the 3% merit increase.
So do we know what the current salary is?
The very top.
So it says as of June 30th.
Yes, that's my current salary.
Is it today?
That's what it is
Or will it
today.
be that
On
on June
July
30th?
1st, technically, if y'all said nothing else, July 1st, I would have that continue.
Okay.
But that's my current salary.
Okay.
And that's what July 1 is when all the other Metro
Right.
employees get
Yes.
their increase.
Is there a second?
Second.
So what'd you move?
I move that we take her current salary, make sure she gets the 4.5% cost of living adjustment, and I guess I should say as of July 1st, and that we also, on top of that, do a merit increase of 3%.
Which is the average of her department.
Right.
Okay, can we have a motion in a second? Any further discussion or understanding of it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
You do really good work, and we're really glad that the council approved you.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all's kind words too as well. But I will update the letter and send it to Mr. Reed, who will then sign it, and then I will sign it and send it up to HR.
I was about to look at it, I was like, bless your heart. Did you make this one all you made? What all you remember?
You complimented everybody except for Crosland. You won't have a chance.
It's okay.
They do a great job. I'll compliment.
Remaining appearance, right?
You know, accountants get their feet hurt.
Well, you know I really like you. I told you that the first time.
And I remember.
But I do. And you all do good work, and I love the presentation. I actually have taken some of it back to my office and used it to tell them how we should be operating and doing things. So I'm very grateful for my role in serving on this committee. I've learned quite a bit, and I thank you all for the education that I received when I come to these meetings.
We want to thank Councilmember Hurd and Councilmember Toombs just for being here and being a part of the committee and all their excellent work.
In other words, John looks at me.
Do we have anything else on the agenda?
I mean, administrative items to go through.
Any added?
We did have the General Hospital investigation, which we did defer. Julie and I are wrapping up the documentation needed for that, so
Okay.
that was deferred in the old business.
And as the,
So what can we do to get that off the agenda? Because I just think that.
Julie and I are working on it. We met yesterday, and we've got a list of the final items that we need. So hopefully at the September meeting, we will have this presented and off.
That is absolutely my goal, to have it finalized and off the agenda.
in the new fiscal year, I know, I don't know, your budget request and budget.
Yes, our budget requests were fully funded in the budget that passed through
So
council.
that's a new, one new staff.
2 new staff. We have 2 new staff, as well as we got our travel budget back, so we can go to our conferences that are important to us, as well as we got rent escalation and some software escalation coverage. So we were very happy with that and excited to start filling positions.
And there's no need for an executive session. Any other business before the committee?
When's our next meeting?
September,
September?
yes, we get a little break. September 13th.
Thank everybody for coming, and do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.